Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus again, and I'm here today doing what I do every day, allowing the Spirit to flow, not knowing where it's going to go, but I got a hope in mind that it will be right on time for those of you who are reaching out, who are searching for something that's prime, something that's real that'll get you through this deal of life. And I'm hoping that these moments that you share with me will do just that. You know, ladies and gentlemen, there are some things that's going on not just in my life, but in all of our lives. And I do mean all of our lives. You know, today what's happening, what's going on, it's not just politics. It used to be, well, it has always been more than that, but we kind of brought it to a realization that it was going to be, and so we limited it to what we might say is political. But today what we're witnessing is something that's a little bit more than that. It is a step towards not right. It's not good. I was hesitant, but it seems that it's evil. Evil, at least when we compare it to what we have been led to believe was acceptable as a proper way to move forward. You know, we speak about hate and racism and bigotry as being something that's evil, something that we don't want to be associated with, something that works against peace and prosperity. And so, but now we're being challenged when saying these are only facts that might work for one and against another. So what they choose is facts that works for them, which might be contradictory to reality. So that puts people in a strange position. That's a seeking of power. And so that makes me come to you and say, ladies and gentlemen, this thing is more than that. Because when it was politics, when it was really a verse between this and that, when everybody assumed and accepted the same basic facts as being reality, then you were dealing with something that didn't make any sense to anybody who was not asleep. But for those who were asleep, it could go quite well. But now what you're doing, you're taking it a step level where you don't even know what the truth is. So when the truth could be slapping you in the face, and so now it has become a thing of evil. So I say to you, in a sense that you can understand it, it's a thing between the devil, Satan, and God. Right and wrong. But when it comes down to you and I, it has to do with about life and death. And so the message that is being projected as far, let me show you some things, ladies and gentlemen. I made a couple of notes here before I go astray right in my mouth. You know, when we think about the President of the United States, some of you, I don't know what you think is going on. I'm sure we got all kinds of thoughts going across the stratosphere about what people are thinking is really going on. But one thing that is going on is that if you look at how it's being depicted, you can associate it with being like, you always hear people talking about crime and crime bosses and the association with Trump. But now that we as a people, especially in the United States, and not just the United States, but people of the world, know what kind of person Trump is. You know, Trump is not committed to anything. There's no reality that he's committed to except his own. And he speaks from his own reality. And for some strange reason, it's causing a lot of people to conform. But if you associate him with crime bosses, I would think that we, as those observing him, we see that he's reaching out to become the ultimate crime boss. You see, everybody that wants to accept totalitarianism, and especially projecting it and carrying it forward and giving it voice in life, they have that desire to be boss, to be ultimate. And they really have, if they want to be the boss of a country, you can bet your last money they have no problem with being boss of the world. And since we know Trump, we know if he's trying to be boss of anything, he's boss of the world. And when we start talking about the mob that he's associated with, can you imagine him being under their thumb? It could have probably been that way one day. Him under the thumb of a mob boss manipulating him in this country I'm talking about. But for him to become the president of the United States, that means the people have accepted him as the ultimate crime boss. And as the ultimate crime boss with the head that he has, you can bet your last money people like Putin and the other people that are thinking that they're using him, but in his head, he's thinking that he's using them. Be that as it may, how do you benefit in this? How do you benefit in this? Well, we see how we have a stagnation in our country here in America today. It's not becoming close. It's not coming together. It's becoming more and more divided. And that will continue as long as this is what is projected before us. And the reason, as a matter of fact, that Russia, Trump is supporting Russia. You've heard Trump say that, yes, Russia has done some cruel things, but he's also associated that with the fact that Americans have done some cruel things too. Now, the commentary that has come forward from that particular statement has kind of been negative for him to associate the wrong of America with the wrong of Russia. But in reality and in truth, wrong is wrong. And what he is saying is factually truth. The problem is his reason for using it. It's not a kind reason. It's not for a benefit of the nation. And it's not a benefit for Russia's intent. It's a benefit for his own. Because he's not caring. He's not trying to bring anything together. He's doing the same thing that he was doing with the American people. Dividing them. Dividing them. And at the same time as he is saying that the Republican Party and the Democratic Party has always represented the system of American government, the two-party system, the system of American government. And they never agreed on anything, really. I mean, that's why they're Republicans and Democrats. They never came together, one, even though there might have been some times when you say, well, they came together on this or came together on that. But as far as the people are concerned at a level continuously, they never even consider anything like that. And so what he's saying that just as the American government system can operate on this Republican and Democratic system that has really never come together, then that is also an expression of how the national system of the American government associated with another national system of government might have their differences similar. But it doesn't have to destroy them or make one right or make one wrong. But in the situation that we see in America today, they are so divided that it has become to a point where one is right and the other one is wrong, but they're trying to make it confusing so the people who haven't made up their minds don't know who is what. And that's the strategy that you use when you're trying to take over a people or power. And that's the same strategy that is being exhibited between Russia and Trump and the policies that they are advocating for and the conversations that they speak forward to the public to make a point. And so what I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, what you must determine is which one is right and which one is wrong. Now, you might say you don't know how to do that. So I'll tell you this. The way to determine which is right is ask yourself this. Which one works for them all? Which one works for Republicans and Democrats? Which one works for United States and Russia? Now, okay, you know as far as the United States is concerned and the Republican and Democrat, neither one of them work for all. Okay, on the international level between the United States and Russia, Trump and Russia, or whatever they got going on out there? Which one works for Russia, Trump, and you? None. And I say you because Trump is your spokesman. Trump is supposed to be your representative, even though he's only concerned about his interests. So which one works for you? And you would say neither one. So what that mean? That means that you got to look for something else. That's exactly what that means. You got to look for something else. And when you look for something else, you should consider what kind of motivation should be considered in determining what is better if you're going to move on from this to that. Well, you think about not just Republicans and Democrats or Americans and Russians, but you think about people. Why? Because they are essentially the same. They got commonalities that make them people that have the same requirements for continued existence. And that has to do with survival, food, clothing, shelter, education, healthcare, the same basic essentials of life that we deal with every day. Nothing brand new. Nothing brand new. Just to make it better and to make it more workable for all, to extend. It's not good enough to just extend it a little bit further. No. If it does not include all, if it does not include everybody, it's not fit to continue to exist, if it exists at all. It's not fit to continue. Why? Because we got to move beyond that. As long as there's anybody that's fallen out of this life, then that's a cancer bug, and it's set to destroy, and it's there for a purpose. It's there for a goal to get you to come back and hunt your butt, to rot you out, and to expose you for what you are. All that fakeness about how good you are. It is the evidence that you're not as good as you claim to be. So if you want to prove yourself worthy, then wipe out that cancer. How do you wipe out that cancer? By extending what you do for some. Make available to some. You make available for all. And if it's not doing that, it's no better than the other. It doesn't matter whether it's local, whether it's national, whether it's international. If it's not doing that, it's not worthy, at least for those who know the truth. And so my proposal is that you look for those that know the truth. Now, I'm not talking about that enemy that will try to prove themselves worthy by killing others. You know, when you start talking about powers and how they worked in the past, they talk about the millions of people, millions of their own citizens that they've gotten rid of to move their agenda, to stand tall as being, well, to put it on the nose, is to be God. You see, here's the mystery or the fantasy, however you want to look at it. God is invisible. And since God is invisible, it gives you the right to see God as you want to see God. And there's no better way to see God than to see God in yourself. You know you. You know what life means to you. That's you. But what will make it God is how that's what you see, what worked for you, how could it work for everybody? Not leaving some out. That's the invisible God. That gives you the opportunity to sit on the throne and be the best God that you can be. And that you're willing to learn from any God that is better than you. But there are other want to be gods. They say, since God is invisible and we are human beings, they need to see God. You need to see God. You need to see God on the throne. And that's why you got presidents, kings on the throne. That's why you got kings and queens on the throne, gods on the throne, visible gods. That's why you got bosses, visible gods. That's why you got so-called men, visible gods. Because if you take away the visible God, you have to rely on the invisible God, and the invisible God ends up being you. And when you're on the right track, you can't go wrong. So let's get on the right track. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I think I've made my point quite clear. And perhaps I should end this. It's been a wonderful day. Here again, this has been Eddie Marcus, and I'm here just giving you that golden nugget that I know works for me, and I'm sure, without a doubt, it will work for you. And until next time, I want to say goodbye.